Good noon, all of you. I hope all of you can see and hear me clearly. I welcome you to this session, MH-CET Parajumbles. So this is our second session on Parajumbles. We've already had one called Decoding Parajumbles, right? So there we again looked at some unique MH-CET question types, right? We covered a variety of question types. The effort is similar today, right? The focus will also be on how you can attempt these questions accurately and fast, right? We want both speed and accuracy. Good afternoon, Sameer. Good afternoon, Dharmi. Same here, Sameer. Right, although I can't literally see you, but it's good to see you in the chat box. Right. So, before I begin, before I start telling you some concepts, in case, let's say you have attended the previous session, or if you have some ideas about how to attempt these questions faster, you can share them in the chat box. Yes. What do you think can actually help us pick up speed in these questions? Tell me. Good noon, Neenat. Good afternoon, Sanil, Prateek. So I'm asking for suggestions regarding how we can increase our speed in Parajumbles. How can we solve them fast? Let's see what you say. Hi, Yash. So, have you attended any session on Parajumbles concept? Okay, check for the opening sentence. Okay, so Samir is saying let's check for the opening sentence. Okay, the let me just write it here itself. See if I can find the opening sentence. Correct. Okay. What else? Connect, right? So we can look for the closing statement also. So opening or closing, all right. Then how do I connect the paragraph? That's the question. Yes. So how do I connect? What can I look for? What are the connectors? Yes. Tell me. So you can be provided with these grammar based clues that will serve as connectors, right? So you will have to tell me now what are those grammar based clues, because we have discussed it last time. Okay, last time we did discuss this, that okay, what can be some grammar based connectors that can help you to actually form various links. Yes, tell me. Good afternoon, Kinjal. Ayush Bayon was good in terms of language, fluency, diction, pronunciation. All those things were great, right? I think probably I hadn't seen it earlier because I realized that it was owned by Z News. So I try to avoid any news channels that are owned by, let's say, I mean, that are owned by, let's say, business firms, or that might have some vested interest. So I try to avoid such channels, and that's why probably I hadn't really had a look at it till then. Right. Conjunctions, all right. Normal connectors such as okay, so, because, hence, correct. So basically what we're doing is, let me just go to a blank, relatively blank slide. Right. So here we are looking for opening closing sentences, right? And you are currently telling me that we are looking for connectors. Now these connectors could be your grammar based clues, and there you are telling me that okay, I can actually take the help of conjunctions. Now what kind of conjunctions? Conjunctions that show a continuation in the thought process, conjunctions that show a cause effect relationship in the thought process. So, because, hence, what do they show? They show a cause effect relationship, right? Then conjunctions like and, moreover, further, right? So that is showing a continuation. All right. Then you can have contradictions also, right? So but, however, right? Can anybody tell me the difference between but and however? Yes, anybody. The difference between but and however. So, but if I tell you that, okay, I used to drink tea, but now I have stopped it. I used to drink tea, but now I have stopped it. Right? So now I am giving an outright contradiction between the two happenings. Okay, earlier I used to do it, but now I don't do it. So it's an out and out contradiction. Right? Okay. Then if I say having sugary drinks can actually lead to diabetes. However, one cup of tea a day will not probably contribute to it, right? So here it's not an outright contradiction. When I say, okay, having sugary drinks can result in diabetes. However, one cup a day, one cup of tea a day or any other sugary drink a day will probably not harm you. So here I am giving a dilution of my earlier statement rather than an outright contradiction. I've just diluted it, right? So I've just reduced its impact. I haven't outrightly negated it. So but involves an outright negation, contradiction, whereas however involves a slight dilution, right? Sometimes they are used interchangeably also, but that's the primary difference between them, right? Though although they also show contradiction, absolutely correct. Okay, then but is used for excuses and however is okay. So Naman, but and however. So however is actually called an adverbial conjunction. It is both an adverb also and a conjunction also, right? So I agree with you that primarily it's an adverb, but these, however, further, moreover, they're called adverbial conjunctions. They function as both. Okay. All right. So, basically, yes, I wanted to talk to you about connectors that, okay, some connectors can help us. Opening and closing sentences. So, I always raise this issue because students are bound to say this. You know, look for opening sentences, closing sentences, which is not a bad strategy. But if there is a clear cut opening or closing sentence, you will find it outrightly. You will find it easily. Okay, if you're not able to find the opening and closing sentences easily, then you should not be stubborn about first finding the opening sentence, then only solving the rest of the question. No, your focus should be on forming links, whichever way you can form them. Sometimes just a vertical scan of the paragraph can actually help you spot various links. Okay, so that's another strategy. That's another thing that you can employ. Right. So what is a vertical scan? Just focusing on the initial few words. So let's look at this question here. Bringing an end to the low interest rate regime. Okay, somebody has brought an end to the low interest rate regime. Deposit rates. Okay, we're going to talk about deposit rates. The sudden RBI move. So probably RBI has actually done this, right? And this, I'm calling it a sudden RBI move. In an unscheduled meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee, so okay, I'm talking about a meeting now. So what I'm doing here is I'm just vertically scanning, just looking at the initial few words, right? Equated monthly installments on home. Okay, so I am talking about EMIs now. It jacked up the repo rate. Jacked up is it increased. What is it? Most likely the RBI. Yes, the sudden RBI move we are talking about. By hiking the repo rate and the CRR, so then in G, I talk about that, okay, what is it trying to achieve by hiking the repo rate and CRR? So at least I have got an idea of what this paragraph is about, right? Then this will give me an idea whether I'm comfortable with this topic or not. Also, I have found some clues. It jacked up, the sudden move. Okay, so first I'll talk about the move and then I'll say the sudden move. So I can see that, okay, I have some clues here. I also understand the topic. It's not very difficult. Language also doesn't seem to be very difficult. So I would give this question a shot. And anyway, when I read this question, I realized that there is a fill in the blank here, right? Further, this should have been highlighted. Okay. Further, if I see here carefully, okay, this part here is highlighted, so probably some grammar question has been framed from it. So a grammar question is there, probably a vocabulary or grammar fill in the blank is there. So at least I will attempt these questions even if I don't form the sequence, right? So This should be your strategy when it comes to such a question, which is an MH-CET unique question type, wherein it asks you parajumble question, grammar question, and sometimes even vocabulary question in the same set, right? Uh, okay, so now I have some queries and some comments in the chat box. So Samir is saying one trick is to go by the options. Yes, glance at the options. Very good. It's a good strategy, glancing at the options, right? However, we don't have to solve completely through the option. So glancing at the options, a very good strategy. So how can it help me? So if I glance at the options and I saw that, okay, out of the 5 options, 3 mention A as the opening sentence and 3 mention B as the opening sentence. Then I realized that, oh, the opening sentence has to be either of the two. Same could be for the closing sentence, let's say. Or I could spot a pair that is present in every option out there. So that reduces my effort. So yes, glancing at the options any day a good strategy when you are given the options, right? Why do I say when you are given the options? I'll tell you later. Okay. We can look for pronouns again. So yes, grammar based clues. Conjunctions was one grammar based clue, right? Connectors is one grammar based clue. The other grammar based clue could be noun pronoun relationship. We can look for tense consistency also. We can look for articles as well, a and the, right? So these things I have discussed with you. Good that you remember them. Okay, so you can watch the previous session decoding parajumbles, and there we have discussed these things in detail. Okay, further there are a lot of other parajumble sessions also that I have conducted. Okay, some of them belong to CAT. However, parajumbles are parajumbles no matter what the exam. So you can watch those for more practice, right? So going back, now that we had read that, okay, we are talking about the sudden RBI moves, bringing an end to the low interest rate regime. We talked about deposit rates, EMIs, repo rate, CRR. I think now we are in a position to attempt this question. But as I told you, in such a question, when you are given a set of questions based on just one question, your first job should be to attempt the vocabulary and grammar questions. It is doubly important. First, because the question might be difficult and you might not really go ahead with forming the sequence. Second, because unless you realize what is there in this blank, how will you connect it with the other sentences? Sometimes, let's say what it says is a minor thing. Here, what will come is a minor thing, and you might be able to. But what if what comes here is a major thing? Okay, a major discussion, let's say. So, it's always better to first go for this fill in the blank question. That is why I have put this fill in the blank question first. Even though when I saw this question, it was not the first question. Okay, so I arranged it in the first position, right? So let's see what can come here. Uh, Read the parajumble first, that you will be required to do. Okay, read the sentences first because they will give you a context also as to what should come here. Okay, so so go for a vertical scan first, then read the parajumble, then go for this FIP. That should be your order. Yes, read it and tell me what should be the answer, giving you the time to read it first. Giving you the time to read it. Right. So I hope everybody has read it by now. So Ayush is saying we can look for subject verb agreement too. So Ayush, usually the subject verb agreement happens in the same sentence, right? And if let's say, I mean, if the subject and verb are not in agreement, that's a grammatical error then. right? So that we can look for when, let's say, there is a grammar question like this in our parajumble. Otherwise, subject verb agreement, it can help me in the sense that okay, the pronoun should agree with the noun. I think it's the pronoun noun agreement that can help me more, and not really the subject verb agreement, right? So this is what can help me in forming my links. Read the entire paragraph as in all the sentences here. So today I'm going to give you a relatively challenging task as compared to the previous session. Today we'll first form the sequence all by ourselves. Then we will look at the options. We do have options in this question, but I want you to form the sequence first. But before we do that, I hope you've read the sentences by now. So this is the sentence. In an unscheduled meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee, the central bank, however, dash monetary policy. So, what do you think should come here based on your understanding of the paragraph? The central bank, however, dash monetary policy. You have to answer this first, the FIB, the fill in the blank. Okay, Sanil says 4. Others. In an unscheduled meeting on monetary policy, the central bank, however, dash monetary policy. Okay. I've got 5 responses. That's it. Okay. All right. 2 or 4. The central bank did something, right? The central bank wasn't retained. The central bank did the act of retaining. So was retained is eliminated. Will be retained or will have retained will be eliminated because of the future tense. So far, if you see, the central bank did something, right? If you read the other sentences, you realize the central bank did something in the past, right? So we cannot use the future tense first of all. Secondly, the central bank performed some action, was an active doer of some action. So the central bank wasn't retained anywhere. Okay. The central bank retained the accommodative stance, retained the accommodative monetary policy. The central bank retained the accommodative monetary policy. Right. So 4 is our answer here and not, let's say, 2, not 3. Okay, because this happened in a meeting, in an unscheduled meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee, the central bank, however, dashed monetary policy. So it retained the accommodative monetary policy. I hope this makes sense. Now, if let's say now you've realized, okay, that there is this vertical scan, there is an it which connects with RBI, there is a however which gives a contradiction, right? This shows the aim of the whole thing, why this whole thing is being done. We talk about deposit rates here, we talk about AMIs here. So now tell me, what should be the first sentence? Yes. What should be the first sentence of this paragraph? Because you said no, that let's hunt for opening sentences. So I'm just trying to see how many of you have been able to identify the opening sentence. The first sentence, come on. Okay, Nina says D. All right. Shouldn't it be present continuous? No, Prem. Retained is basically you earlier also there was an accommodative stance on the monetary policy. So RBI retained it. The RBI said that okay, we will continue with this. So the RBI retained. To retain covers the fact that we will continue with this, right? Okay, so D, I'm getting some D's here and some A's here. Mostly D's, some A's. All right. But if you see, D has a however, right? And usually, however implies a contradiction of something that has been stated earlier. If I can find that something that has been stated earlier and that contradicts what is mentioned in D, then D should not be the first sentence, isn't it? So it all depends on whether I can find something that contradicts D, and I can find something. Okay, what is that? See, so here some understanding of economics and finance is required, okay? And that is why I said that, reading it makes us realize whether I'm comfortable with the topic or not. So let's have a look. Um, Bringing an end to the low interest rate regime, the RBI on Wednesday altered a couple of rates. So if I'm bringing an end to the low interest rate regime, that means I have probably increased the interest rate. So I am RBI, and RBI has increased the interest rates. Okay. So when does the RBI do this? When the RBI feels that, let's say, there is a lot of money circulating in the economy, or let's say a lot of inflation is happening because of a lot of money circulating in the economy, or because of too much money chasing too few goods. इकोनॉमी में बहुत ज्यादा मनी है पर उतने गुड्स नहीं है, तो इसलिए धीरे धीरे इन्फ्लेशन होती जा रही है. So that's when the RBI increases the interest rates. So if the RBI increases such interest rates, then broadly speaking, it is tightening. It is tightening the flow of money in the economy, right? By doing this, it is tightening the flow of money. So this is said to be in a way, a tightening. Now, even after doing this tightening, it, however, retained the accommodative. What does accommodative mean? When you are accommodative of something, you are a little bit chilled out about it. Yes, you are a little bit relaxed about it, adjusting about it. So the RBI, when it maintained the accommodative stance, even after increasing the interest rates, in a way the RBI is communicating that, okay, right now we have increased the interest rates, but if required for the growth of the economy, we will not hesitate to cut the interest rates also. That is called maintaining an accommodative stance on monetary policy. Right. So the RBI increased interest rates for now. That means it is trying to really withdraw the money out of the system, really pull out some money out of the economy. But at the same time, it is also accommodative. That अगर जरूरत पड़ी तो वापस inject कर देंगे. Right? So I hope this makes sense. Okay, I've tried to explain this in layperson terms, right? And some of you might feel that, okay, there are some new terms here: tightening, easing, accommodative, etc. But just understand these terms as to what they mean literally, and you'll get it. So I hope this is clear to everybody that A A is not giving any contradiction. No, A is saying that, okay, what RBI has done marks an end to the low interest rate regime. That's it. So bringing an end to the low interest rate regime, the RBI on Wednesday altered a couple of rates. A should come first because it is giving me the topic. हुआ क्या है actually? क्या discuss हो रहा है in the rest of the sentences, right? Now, somebody is saying that AF is a pair. Yes, so Sanil says AF is a pair. Someone also mentioned this earlier that AF is a pair. Very good. Now, why is AF a pair? See this, altered a couple of rates. Altered some rates, a couple of rates. So, F actually elaborates which rates, by how much. So, you are right in saying that F should come next. Okay, so now that you have the start, right, I want you to give me the rest of the sequence. So through that, I'll also get to know whether you've been able to identify a clear closing sentence or not. Okay, so AF, what else? What after this? What after AF? Give me the sequence. Absolutely correct, Sanil. So that's why F continues A, F elaborates A. Okay. Take the help of grammar based clues also. There are some grammar based clues. Give me the entire sequence. This is an interesting question actually, and you do have options. I'll show them to you later on. Others. Give me the entire sequence. All right. So, A and F, you realize that okay, they belong together, right? Now, I'm saying that it jacked up the repo rate. Why did it do this? To bring down the elevated inflation and tackle the impact of geopolitical tensions. So this is part of the thing that it has done. Okay. So part of the thing that the RBI has done is to increase the interest rates. But what is the other thing that, in addition, this is also the case, no? But in an unscheduled meeting, however, it retained the accommodative monetary policy. So it should be AFD. The sequence should be AFD. Okay, because AFD collectively is telling me what all has RBI done. Fine, it has increased the interest rates. I am also telling by how much. However, it still retained the accommodative monetary policy. This is the combined action that RBI has taken. So it's AFD that is the sequence. Okay. Now, what else? What after this? After AFD, it becomes very easy. CEB, one of you has identified this, that CEB is a sequence. One of you has identified this. I think Gaurav mentioned this. CEB. CEB is a very clear-cut sequence here. So basically, see, what I wanted to see in this question was, are you able to connect A and F? I understand that D is a tricky one. I understand that G is a tricky one. Then the next thing that I wanted to see was, are you able to see that CEB is a sequence? If let's say you are able to do this much, this is a lot when you are given options. Okay, you'll not probably even need to do even this much. So why CEB a sequence? Because I'm saying the sudden RBI move, the first hike after August 2018, is expected to push up interest rates in the banking system. Okay, so what interest rates, what type of interest rates in the banking system? I'm just now elaborating on this, right? Equated monthly installments on home, vehicle, and other personal and corporate loans are likely to go up. Why will they go up? Because interest rates बढ़ गए, right? Deposit rates. So it's not just that loans का rate बढ़ेगा. Deposit rates, mainly fixed term rates, are also set to rise. When the interest rates rise, they rise on both sides, right? So your FD rates will also rise and your EMI rates will also rise. So E, C, E, and B later on because of this also, right? So CEB is a sequence. AF is a, again, it's an opening pair, right? One more thing that I wanted you to see was the tense consistency. See, past tense, just a second, sorry. Past tense, right? Altered, past tense, past tense. They should come together, right? Past, past, past. If you see, now we have switched to the present tense. Present tense, okay? Present tense. Then likely to go up, are likely to go up. Present tense, again present tense. So tense consistency. When we are talking in the past tense, we'll first mention everything, okay, in the past tense, and then we'll go to the present. Then we'll go to some other tense. So if you saw these things, I think this was not a difficult question, right? Good. Dharmi has answered correctly. A, F, D, C, E, B, G. This is the sequence, right? Okay. Now, it says the first and the last statements are fixed. Okay. All right. All right. So yes, here it is mentioned. See, a lot of times in your exam, no, this is not mentioned, right? So that's why I didn't take these instructions into account, because if let's say this is mentioned, no, then it just gets reduced to a 5-sentence parajumble, right? But in your exam, I have seen 6-sentence parajumbles also. I've seen 7-sentence parajumbles also. right? So that's why I didn't take these into account. But yes, good observation. The instructions tell us that the first and the last statements are fixed. So G has to be the closing sentence here. A has to be the opening sentence. But now you even understand the rationale behind why A is the opening sentence. Let's understand the rationale behind why G is the closing sentence. So now that we have understood that the sequence is A, F, D, C, E, B, G, the question is why should G come at the end, right? Some of you must be thinking, ये तो F के बाद आना चाहिए था. Yes? So a very legit query. This should come after F because F is talking about elevated inflation and then we are talking about inflation here as well. However, if you see the structure of this paragraph, so here structure comes into the picture. See, so far we've talked about grammar-based clues. We've also seen theme-based clues, as in we are connecting that okay, क्या discussion चल रही है. So CEB, we connected this on the basis of theme. Okay, so here I'm talking about pushing up interest rates, loan rates, deposit rates. So theme is connected. But there is something called a structure-based clue as well, right? So grammar, we have seen. Theme, we have seen. Let's look at structure. What do I mean by it? So here I introduced something that happened. An action was taken. Action was taken. So in A, F and D, I describe that action. In C, E and B, I describe the impact of that action. Okay, an action happened. I describe its impact. Then, if you see again, this is in the present tense. Okay, so action that happened is in the past tense. The impact and the reason, the aim behind it, the aim behind this whole thing, the aim behind the whole thing, right, is by hiking the repo rate and the CRR, the RBI is aiming to keep inflation at its desired level and control and monitor money flow into the banking system, right? So we have talked about inflation in the part F, right? We have addressed inflation here, and the CEB talks about controlling and monitoring money flow, right? ये money flow ही तो monitor होएगा इससे जब interest rates आपने increase कर दिए. Let's say interest rates increase हो गए, less people will take loans. Interest rates have increased, more people will deposit. So what are you doing? You're controlling the money flow into the banking system. So G is summing up the entire thing. Okay, we first in the action we already talked about the inflation reason. In CEB we show how money flow is being monitored through it. In G we sum it up. Right? So this is a structure based flow. Okay. It says RBI is aiming, that is, it says something about the future, which is generally the last. So yes, what is it aiming to do? Yes, correct. So when I say is aiming, although this is the present tense, it talks about the future, right? What's the plan ahead? So that's why also AFDCEBG is going to be the sequence. So I'm dissecting this question to you, explaining this to you in a lot of detail because it's very important to understand how to form pairs, because one or two pairs you will have to form even when there are options, right? And let's see what kind of options you were given. So in the options, A was the opening, G was the closing sentence, that was there, right? Then if you see, CEB is a sequence only in these two options. For me, personally, making CEB as a sequence was the easiest part. Okay, after looking at A and F, CEB was the easiest part. So I could have narrowed down to 2 on the basis of CEB. I could have then decided that on the basis of AF, 1 is the answer. Or I could have simply seen AF and then narrowed down to these two. So whatever combination works for you. Whatever combination works for you. AF का work कर रहा है, narrow down to these two. CEB work कर रहा है, narrow down to these two. Right? Ultimately, just on the basis of these two things, you've been able to narrow down to two options and ultimately one option. Okay? So I hope now you have a better understanding into the structure, the grammar and the theme of a paragraph. 30 seconds. Nobody's asking you to do these 7 questions in 30 seconds. No, that's not required. You can take 7 to 9 minutes for attempting such questions. Okay. So, MH-CET does give you that kind of time. So, there are 7 questions here, right? I'll just show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 7 questions based on this. Now, if you see, once you've done this one question, once you've decided on the sequence, the others are just byproducts. What is the 4th sentence? What is the 6th sentence? Which one retains its initial place? What is the second sentence? So, ये 4 तो by product हो गए. Once you figured this out, that means in let's say 5 minutes you can easily attempt these 5 questions, right? And 5 minutes, जिसमें आपको 5 minutes let's say figure out करने में ही लग गए. Then also you can attempt these 5 questions immediately after. So you're left with just this grammar and vocabulary, or both grammar questions, right? You're just left with these grammar questions. Those can be attempted in 2 minutes, under 2 minutes, very easily. So you do have at least 7 minutes to attempt such question, right? Okay. So let's see the next question here. Now I have formed my sequence, so I'll be able to do the rest easily. So let's look at the next thing, which is a grammar question. So in this last statement, a part of the sentence is highlighted. Control and monitor, I highlighted it for you. Alternatives to the emboldened part below the sentence are A, B, C, and D, which may help improve the sentence. Choose the correct alternative out of the given 5 options. In case the given sentence is correct, the answer will be E. That is no correction required. So let's go back and read G. Okay. Control and monitor is the highlighted part. You have to figure out what is the error, if there's any. So this is like your RC set, your RC passage set, because it again has 7 questions after it, right? So you have to treat it accordingly. Read the sentence. By hiking the repo rate and CRR, the RBI is aiming to keep inflation, which is already close to 7%, at its desired level and control and monitor money flow into the banking system. Let's see what should come here. You mean incorrect, Sameer? Okay, the witch sailor says 4 should be the answer. Neenad also says 4 should be the answer. Gaurav says 4. Ayush 4. Yash 4. Alright. Sameer also says 4. Prats 4. So a lot of you think that 4 is the answer. Okay. Let's see. This is a parallelism question. Okay, the concept involved is of parallelism. I have always told you that when attempting grammar questions, you have to focus on each and every word, right? You can't speed read your way through grammar questions. One thing. Second thing is that whenever you have these multiple things that somebody is doing, multiple things. So RBI is aiming to do multiple things. Yes. In that case, all those multiple things should be consistent. They should be parallel with each other. So break the sentence. RBI is aiming to. It is aiming to do multiple things. What all? First, keep inflation in check. Keep inflation at the desired level. Okay, I am writing in check here. Shorter. 2. Keep inflation. Did I write keeping inflation? No, RBI is aiming to keep inflation. RBI is aiming to control money flow. RBI is aiming to monitor money flow. So when aiming to has come, can I say aiming to will monitor, aiming to will control? Can I say that? Is there room for will? Aiming to will control? Not at all. So the answer here is 5. No correction required. Okay. Good, Swati. No correction required here. The original sentence was absolutely fine. A lot of students actually give this as the answer because they think it's a future aim or it's a future move, let's say, something that will materialize in the future. And that's why they give 4 as the answer. No. You have to look at the structure of the sentence, not the implication here, right? The structure matters in grammar. 5 is the answer. Okay, so we have seen one grammar question here wherein the tense and the voice helped us to decide. Then we saw this sequence, and now we just saw we saw another parallelism based grammar question. ठीक है? So now the job is easy. Now that I know that the sequence is A, F, B, C, E, B, G, what is the fourth statement after rearrangement? What is the fourth statement after rearrangement? Do I need to even address this? Definitely C. Okay. Sixth statement after rearrangement? Definitely B. Okay. So 1 is the answer here. Now, which of the following statements remains at its initial place even after rearrangement? Yes, who will tell me the answer to this one? We have done a similar question last time as well. Which of the following statements remains at its initial place even after rearrangement? Yes. C I've got from Sameer. Okay. Option 2. B. Sweetie says. Okay, option 1. All right. E. Okay. So what is the meaning of this question? I think some of you have not understood the meaning. Remains at its initial place means that, see, initially the sequence of alphabet is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? So which of the following statements remains at its initial place, where it should have been in the first place, right? So let's say A को A पर ही होना चाहिए था, G को G पर ही होना चाहिए था, but that was already given to us in the question. Now, B has changed places. No, it's not in its initial place. जहाँ उसको होना चाहिए था. C again has changed position. D changed position. E, however, is still in the fifth position where it was initially. E was in the fifth position initially. It is in the fifth position now also. So that is my answer. ठीक है? Fourth option. Good. Naman, Gaurav, Ankit, yes, yes. Correct, correct. Dharmi also. All of you have answered E. Correct. Which one of the following is the second statement after rearrangement? Again, we know this. We knew this right in the beginning that AF is a pair. So F is the second statement after rearrangement. Right. So once you make the sequence, it becomes very easy for you. Today, on purpose, I did not show you the options, but yes, in the exam, the options may be present, the options may not be present. Okay, so this question may not be present at all. That's why I wanted you to have a flavor of that kind of a question also. If they are present, then again, it becomes easy. If it is not present, then we need to have that kind of understanding that, okay, G should come at the end. Okay, then CEB is a sequence, AF is a pair. We need to have that kind of understanding, and then it becomes a relatively tricky question. So you can make a choice to be selective then. Just attempt the grammar and vocabulary questions in case you feel you're not comfortable with making an entire sequence. Right? Okay. So this is about this question. It's treated like an RC passages set, right? So approximately 7 to 8 minutes this can take you. Okay, and you can also prioritize. If let's say, for instance, RCs are my strength, I would always attempt those first and this one later. If on the other hand I'm good at logic, I would go for this and then I'll go for my RC passages, because here also there are 7 questions, so that's a good reward, right? Okay. Now, so basically these are the points that we've already discussed. Just summing it up for you very, very quickly. For solving MCQ Parajumbles faster, glance at the options, read the first few words, hunt for clues, see if you can spot the opening and closing sentences. If not, it's okay. Just make links. Okay. Find multiple pairs or orders, because once you do that, it becomes easy to eliminate, right? If let's say I found just one pair, A and F. So it will help me to narrow down to 2 options but not reach the ultimate option. So find multiple pairs or multiple orders. Order means that, okay, A should come before D, but something can come in between these two also. So even orders help. See, once you know that, okay, let's say I know that C should come before B. I have eliminated this option, right? I have eliminated this option. So even orders can help you and not just mandatory pairs, right? Okay. And keep eliminating from your options as you go. These are the things that you already know. Okay, I'm just summing it up for you. So I hope you found value in today's session, but there are still 2 more questions to go. The session is not over yet, right? Now I have a normal parajumble for you. This one is easy. I would want to do this one first, right? Even this is not tricky. With options, this is also not tricky. Let's do this one. 5-sentence parajumble. Let's see what you say. Normal parajumble, the kind you've dealt with earlier, with options. So I want 100% accuracy in this. Yes. Welcome, Sameer. 2 more questions to go. 2 more questions to go. I want us to look at normal parajumbles and one odd sentence out parajumble also. Just 2 more questions. Easy and fast. Okay, I've got one response. E. All right. Sanil says B. Okay. What else? What else? What else? Let's see. So here you can be relatively speedy because it's just one question. Okay, and there are options. Also, there are connectors in this question. E, B. So we are sort of confused between E and B, but E, no, there's a tie. No, E, more responses for E. Okay. All right, all right. D. Okay. So here, this is usually a chance occurrence. This, again, I just went for a vertical scan and I realized this is what is usually a chance occurrence. क्या एक chance की बात है? What is it? Right. So 3 can definitely not be the opener because I have read the other sentences also, and that's why I'm eliminating this because I realized that the chance occurrence that is being talked about is there in the other sentences. So 3 is not the opening sentence. Okay. So what is that chance occurrence? Is it mentioned in 1? Is it mentioned in 2? Okay. A miscarriage is simply nature's way of dealing with an abnormal embryo. Okay. Embryo. So this seems to be a general sentence. It's not telling me what that chance occurrence is. The most common cause of a miscarriage is a problem with the baby's chromosomes. This sort of elaborates it further. Acha, baby के chromosomes में problem है. But it is 4 that gives me that precise chance occurrence. If a baby does not have the right number of chromosomes, normal development cannot happen. Right? So not having the right number of chromosomes is a chance occurrence. ये बहुत probability की बात है that the baby, the embryo does not have the right number of chromosomes. So 4 exactly tells me what is the chance occurrence. Okay. So 4 should come before 3. 4 should definitely come before 3 and this is eliminated. Okay. D is our answer here. So eliminate like this, right? Make connections. Good that some of you said D. Ayush said D. Okay. Then Prem said D. Swati said D. Okay. So I understand, Sanilsi. That is why I gave you this question. This seems to be a very general statement, and that's why we feel that okay, this should be the opener. यही होना चाहिए opener, right? We feel that, and we discussed this that if the opening sentence is very clear cut, then you can actually decide on it. But if you read the sequence 2, 3, 4, 1, 5, there's only one sequence that has 2 as the opening. Right after 2, it says this is usually a chance occurrence. What is a chance occurrence? And cannot be attributed to any problem with the chromosomes of the parents. Right? So अभी तक तो हमने chromosomes की बात ही नहीं करी in 2. In 2 we haven't discussed chromosomes yet. Then how can in 3 I straight away start discussing about chromosomes? So don't rely exclusively on just the opening and closing statements. Right? That was my point through this question. ठीक है? All right. और आयुष के मन में खुशी की लहर. Right? Let's see. The last question for the day, you just have to identify that one sentence whose theme does not match with the others. Okay, there's one sentence whose theme does not match with the others. Identify that. Such questions have been asked in MH-CET. Yes. Suraj, I came up with options because last year, the MH-CET 2021, it did not ask any non-MCQ parajumbles. All the parajumble questions had options. So that's why I don't want to make things unnecessarily difficult for you. Right? That's why I came with the option. But yes, next time I'll do this, I'll have a mix. Okay, a mix of questions with options, without options. Sanil says 3. Okay. Ankit says 3. Focus on the words that you can understand. Don't worry about the words that you can't understand in this. Ayush says 4. Gaurav says 4. Anirudh says D, which is 4. Naman says 5. You have seen Lupin, okay. Alright. So 4. Okay. So I've got 2 threes, 3 fours, no 4 fours, 1 5. What else? Come on. That's it. So I mean, this is an easy question type. As a question type, odd sentence out questions tend to be much easier because you don't have to worry about making an entire sequence, right? So I'll just focus on the easy words. I'll not talk about words like despondent, ambivalent. Forget these words. We're talking about lockdown. Okay, we're talking about French viewers. We're talking about the fact that they binged. We all understand binging on shows that highlighted their social crisis. What kind of social crisis? Their social, France ka social crisis. A nation ill at ease, fearful for the future, and anxious about its place in the world. These kind of crises were highlighted by the TV popular within France during lockdown. So ये तो बहुत ही related है. 1 and 2 cannot be the odd one out, right? Then, a TV series portraying political gridlock, economic anxiety, and collective psychological trauma were specially popular. So we are saying no that they focused on their highlight the social crisis. They didn't escape. They didn't escape from their social crisis. They in fact preferred those shows. They watched those shows. So political gridlock, a nation ill at ease, anxious about its place in the world. Economic anxiety. It was lockdown, right? Collective psychological trauma, lockdown due to COVID most likely. Yes, all of us get that. Again related. We're talking about TV. We're talking about all these themes only between 4 and 5. Now, a number of series and films were cast through the prism of one of France's abiding obsessions. Okay, France की एक obsession है. What is that? It's ambivalent attitude towards American influence. It's not very sure. It has very mixed feelings about American influence. Okay. 5 says French television series such as Call My Agent, The Bureau, and Lupin were streamed globally and acclaimed for their wit, flair, and originality. Agreed that it is talking about French TV series, but is it talking about French viewers? Is it talking about their focusing on their social crisis? No, it just changes direction altogether. It starts talking about the wit, flair, and originality of the series. हम series को appreciate नहीं कर रहे हैं. We are just trying to say that French people did not escape from their social crisis. They watched shows that highlighted their social crisis. That's it. This is not a general appreciation of the series itself, themselves, right? So it 1, 2, 3, and 4 all belong. It is Fifth, that does not belong. Okay. I hope this makes sense to you. Fifth one does not belong. Good, Naman. Okay. Very happy to see 1 5 in the chat box. Right. So this actually gives you an idea of how to attempt various types of parajumble questions. One that have 7 sentences and is a set. One that is just a normal 5 sentence MCQ parajumble, and we just saw an odd sentence parajumble. These things I've told you in the last session also, I'll repeat. You have to focus on the range of discussion here. Although we were talking about French TV serials, we were not talking about the good things about them in general, wit, flair, originality. You don't have to be worried about the entire sequence. See, I don't care in which order 1, 2, 3, and 4 will come. I didn't care about that. Right? Make 1 or 2 mandatory pairs to eliminate. So, for instance, I related these two. Uh, Political gridlock, economic anxiety, collective psychological trauma. I related this with 1 because they did not escape from all these things. They rather saw all these things. Their social crisis. If you can find the opening closing sentence, well and good. If not, it's fine. Okay. And definitely identify the tone of the paragraph or ideas discussed. That does help in some questions. Because if 4 sentences are positive and 1 is neutral, then you know which one is the odd sentence out. Right? If 4 are negative and 1 is positive, you know which one is the odd sentence out. So this is how these questions help you, right? And yes. So I hope you found value in this session, right? You liked the session. I see some discussion about dates happening. Please be very well aware of the dates of your exam, right? We did share this short, Pranav sir short when the exam was postponed. Yes, 23, 24, 25 August. Okay. So it's no longer in June, right? Has been postponed by 2 months. You get more time for preparation. Okay, I think you know about this course of ours, and this is our Telegram channel where I keep sharing stuff that I think is important. Okay, tomorrow we'll meet again at 12. We'll discuss some other aspect of MH-CET. All right, and I hope that all of you have been preparing well from your end as well. Just attending the sessions won't suffice. You have to prepare from your end also. Book suggestions for phrasal verbs. No, I won't suggest any particular book for it. Okay, you don't need one whole book for phrasal verbs. All right. Okay then. Bye. See you.